as Indigenous native title land holdings. It's something we certainly have to focus on because our sites are quite often in more remote areas where these land holdings tend to be. Of course, you get your AIS data, the density analysis is a major part. Nautical advice is one we use a lot in terms of the experience of the mariners in our organisation, providing assessments of issues about the visibility and obscurity and conspicuity of ATON. And we can sort of feed that in terms of represent that graph through a GIS, based on the sort of wisdom that they've built up over years. Information about surveys, particular sites, obviously hydrographic charts. Satellite imagery is a big one, and we're all familiar with Google Earth and how we can tap into that technology. Meteorological data, particularly important, and a big issue for us at AMSA with impending implementation of an underkeel clearance management system in Torres Strait. Another one we've come across also is third-party planning information and other information. People not having any connection or relationship to the maritime industry, but potentially impacting on what we do. And I've got an example to talk about later. I mentioned aerial photography. That's another one that can be used, and I've mentioned the DGPS data, which comes in handy. This is AMSA's AIS network in terms of shore stations currently in place. This combines AMSA's actual infrastructure with that operated by various ports, and we are able to access that information freely. Well, in a sense, AMSA provides the data switching software to access the data and pays the communication costs for bringing that data back to AMSA. Just reflecting, you would have seen a slide like this that Mahesh, my colleague from AMSA, displayed the other day. His was a bit more sexy. I apologise for that. The only thing I've got on him in this one is that I've actually got some data from Adelaide and the Spencer Gulf, which is one of the more recent sources of information. So we're continually sort of expanding our coverage of AIS, coverage of Australia through AIS, and therefore our ability to use it in systems such as GIS. We went through a workshop process in AMSA over quite a period of time to decide how we were actually going to use all this AIS data. And we found, to our surprise, that it was actually applicable across the whole organisation in terms of our functions. And I've included in this slide the range of functions, quite broad, everything from a financial perspective in terms of assessing whether we're collecting our right to use our navigation levy and other levies from the vessels that need to be paying that, right through to daily incident response through our MERCOM, emergency response commander type function. Search and rescue is become very, I suppose, they've embraced it much more than they might have been anticipated. I think it's been our experience. And of course, ATON planning is another key one. And environmental protection is one that we've sort of used through oil spill response and planning for that. Just looking at a couple of data analysis issues. Here we have Bass Strait. There's a traffic separation scheme in Bass Strait, and I suppose from our perspective, we were looking at just whether the level of compliance with that separation scheme. And this fairly straightforward AIS plot shows the east and westbound traffic, and just looking at sort of just finding out whether the traffic was actually going what it should be. We were able to sort of obviously filter that out, and filtering is an important part of utilising AIS information in an efficient way. But the point to make about filtering, I suppose, is that it doesn't help if you're actually needing to sort of get pretty much near real-time information, where you need the full data set, and therefore you need to keep that full data set in as part of your storage policy, as well as then being able to filter data out for analysis. And what we found from here was the traffic pretty much was behaving as we would expect, but without AIS it certainly would have been a lot more uncertain as to whether that was occurring. Another form of analysis that's, and you've seen plenty of examples, I think this morning, but taking it into another level of sophistication is looking at the density and therefore what sort of range we're getting, and what we're doing at AMSA really is really only touching the surface of that, but and we don't really have the tools at the moment to take that much further, but what this demonstrates is that for the Gaybo Island AIS station off the southeast coast of Australia, we're sort of getting pretty much in the ranges that you expect for using, if you were to use the IALA formula. And we actually got a study undertaken by the Defence Science and Technology Organisation on the east coast of Australia, looking at the ranges that we might expect, and they really confirmed that those IALA formulas were appropriate, certainly for that part of the country. Interesting to note, the density sort of drops off to the northeast there, and that brings into play, well, that's partially due to the topography, which we know about from that area, so that the AIS information sort of confirms some of the knowledge, and it also confirms that the vessels are going very close to the coast as you'd expect on the main route north-south, cutting the corner there as you're taking the shortest possible route. So, in terms of ATON planning, AIS data analysis is particularly important and one I'm particularly interested in, and we've done a bit of it around the coast, and we do an annual ATON review. What this one really showed for us was that we knew there was traffic going in the area, but the amount of traffic going through a route over Fairway Shoals, which this area here, where in the past our sort of information was really that it was steering clear of that, but this area is poorly surveyed, sort of, and what came out of this exercise was some communication with the Australian Hydrographic Service to look at including some surveys, additional survey work there, given the nature, the knowledge of the vessels transiting in that area. Okay, what this map here really depicts is combining AIS traffic data with other information, including nautical advice about a potential obstruction and obscurity of one of our ATON in Sydney, a traditional lighthouse at Macquarie, by a local community, the local council's decision to put floodlighting on a sports field. Pretty innocuous sort of, I suppose, decision on their part, you would think, but given the location, certainly brings up the issue of background lighting impacting on ATON. So we went through a process of negotiation, and we're still negotiating with them, but we've been trying to sort of establish just what the level of the issue is from our perspective. So, and what we've been able to do through the layering of data through the GIS is to bring all that information in, including the location of the actual towers that the floodlights are going to be located on. Just in terms of AMSA's GIS capability, we've developed a web mapping application, and what it does is, you'll see on the left of the slide here, how clear that is, but they're all the different layers that are available to us, and it's quite considerable, and they're not just ATON related information. There's a range of information from a craft tracking system which has been developed in AMSA as well, and even things like the territorial limits of waters can be brought in, and also, as I mentioned before, things like native tidal plain areas or determined areas where we need to take into account those things when we undertake projects in relation to ATON. What this slide also showed that the AIS data indicated